What if I told you that the number keeping you poor isn't your salary? It's not inflation. It's not your country. It's not your boss. It's not even your lack of opportunity. It's a number so small that most people ignore it completely. And because they ignore it, they never experience the single most powerful force in finance. A force that has quietly built fortunes, created dynasties, and transformed ordinary savers into billionaires. A force so powerful that Warren Buffett attributed his wealth to living in America, some lucky genes, and compound interest. But here's the mystery. If compounding is so powerful, why don't most people benefit from it? Why do millions of hardworking people invest for years and still see almost nothing? Is it because they started too late? Or is it because they never crossed a certain invisible threshold? The lowest amount required for compounding to actually matter. Today, we're going to uncover the real minimum amount you need for compounding to start working. Why most people sabotage it without realizing it, and the exact moment compounding shifts from invisible to unstoppable. And how history proves that even tiny amounts can snowball if used correctly. This isn't motivational fluff. This is math. This is history. This is pure cause and effect. And by the end, you'll understand the exact number you must reach, or everything else you're doing financially won't matter. Long before modern stock markets, long before retirement accounts, long before apps made investing possible with a single tap, there was a simple mathematical idea, the In 1651, merchants were already studying how money could grow when interest was added to interest. Later, mathematicians like Jacob Bernoulli studied how quantities grow when repeatedly multiplied by a fixed percentage. His work formalized what we now call exponential growth, the engine behind compounding, SPIT. Compounding wasn't revolutionary because it was complex. It was revolutionary because it was predictable. Invest $1, earn 10%. You now have $1.10. The next year, you earn on that new total. That extra penny seems insignificant, but it's the beginning of something powerful. Growth isn't straight, it bends upward. Over time, that bend becomes a curve, then almost vertical. But here's the trap. In the beginning, it looks flat. So flat it feels pointless. Most people quit before the curve ever bends. And that's where the real problem begins. As we move into the early 20th century, industrialization accelerated wealth creation. Railroads expanded across continents. Oil reshaped economies. Steel built cities. Capital, when left alone and reinvested, began to multiply in ways the world had never seen before. The stock market became more accessible, and slowly, ordinary investors began participating in this phenomenon. One of the greatest modern demonstrations of compounding is Warren Buffett. What most people don't realize is that over 99% of his wealth came after his 50th birthday, not because he suddenly became more intelligent, not because he suddenly discovered better investments, but because compounding finally had enough time and enough accumulated capital to snowball. Let's look at the math clearly. If you earn 10% annually, after 1 year, your money grows by 10%. After 10 years, it becomes roughly 2.5 times what you started with. After 20 years, nearly 7 times. After 30 years, more than 17 times. After 40 years, around 45 times. Now pause and think about that. The first 10 years feel almost useless. The last 10 years look explosive. Compounding is backloaded. That means if you interrupt it early, you destroy most of its eventual power. This is exactly why people who jump in and out of markets never experience real wealth. Every time they exit, they reset the clock. Every time they panic, they flatten their own curve. And here's where it becomes uncomfortable. Most people believe the lowest amount needed for compounding is about having a large sum of money. They think, if I just had $10,000, then I would start. If I can't invest at least $5,000, what's the point? But that's not the real threshold. The real threshold is mathematical momentum. Imagine two people. One invests $100 once and never adds another cent. The other invests $100 every single month. After 30 years at 8%, the first person may end up with around $1,000. The second person could accumulate over $150,000. The difference isn't intelligence, it isn't luck, it's consistency. But Here is the insight most people never realize. Compounding only becomes psychologically motivating once your gains exceed your contributions. That is the invisible breaking point. The moment your investments earn more in a year than you personally put in, that's when compounding has officially taken over, too. Until then, it feels like pushing a heavy rock uphill. After that moment, it feels like gravity takes over and the rock begins rolling on its own. So what is the lowest amount required to reach that phase? You invest $200 per month at 8%.